I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, November the 8th, brought to you in part by Joplin Regional Stockyards. Good run again here this Monday for 6,000 head regular feeder cattle auction. And also don't forget that today, Monday here, is the weaning date if you want to be 60 days weaned before the special wean back value added sale that's going to be happening on January the 6th. That's one of the best sales that you can have to sell your calves if you've got them with all their shots and long time weaned, but need to have that documented, need to be getting those weaned and having them weaned today. Of course, in 2 weeks it'll be the time to have them 45 days weaned. But you know, I was looking last week back at the Primetime Livestock video special that they had at Joplin just last Thursday. I told you about 2 big long strings feeder steers that was on there. I never did give you the results of those, but 1,100 head last Thursday on the Primetime Livestock video weighed 835 pounds for delivery here in November, pretty current delivery at 159.35. That's a big swath of them. Another 1,100 pounds to weigh 900 pounds early December at 157.85. So that's just one of the options they have for marketing your cattle at Joplin Regional Stockyards. The battle was won, and we may be losing equity in our cattle feeding operations or our farming operations, depending on if you're a farmer feeder or commercial feedlot, but may be losing equity. We may be slowly losing our leverage and slowly losing any kind of negotiated trade that we have. We may be losing our livelihood a little bit at a time, we may be going by the way of the hogs and the chickens and things like that. But last week, by God, the battle was won by the cattle feeders and the cattle people and just the Western way of life as we know it. And thank God. Congratulations. 130. A lot of you guys didn't think that we could achieve it that quick. I'm taking full credit. No, just kidding. But I had less than nothing to do with it, but I was sure rooting for that 130. And I'm so proud of the few guys that still sell some negotiated fat cattle, and they stuck their heels in. A few guys gave up, started selling a few cattle there, albeit at higher prices, but they started selling cattle you know, early to midweek there, you know, but they were mostly selling heavier cattle, just things that they absolutely needed to get rid of and things like that. But I tell you what, the packers were short bought. They had tipped their hand to that. They were hand to mouth, and so they were needing cattle for immediate delivery. They haven't been buying very many cattle for the 2 to 4 week delivery on their negotiated purchases the last several weeks, and they got caught. They needed some cattle, and they had to give more for them, and just kudos to the guys that made them pay up for the cattle. And there were sales above 130, but 130 was your price last week on Friday, and we're going to have another big movement because we just had a pretty dismal movement through Thursday of last week, and I told you some guys had sold, and we were kind of afraid that maybe that was enough to get your packers by, but then they come in there on Friday and did all the business that much. It was higher, it was about a couple bucks higher across the board Monday through Thursday, and then a couple bucks more than that on Friday, getting the 130. But that's fantastic. Now we look at the bad things that are happening here. The Democrats, despite losing Virginia governorship there, and the American people in a blue state of Virginia saying that hey, we don't like what's going on here. All this liberalism stuff, we're out on it. We don't want any more of this. So you know, we kind of like things, you know, America first type things, and we're just really pushing back against this leftist movement. But they actually kind of flip-flopped it and said that no, that means they want us to do more faster. So they crammed the infrastructure bill down our throat late last week in the House anyway. They had said that they were going to do it and the reconciliation or social spending bill at the same time. They got those separated. That social spending bill is the one that we're the most afraid of. They've got the spending on the infrastructure deal dialed back a little bit, and gosh, we have to thank Joe Manchin there of West Virginia for doing that. If not for him, there's no telling what they would have us doing. I mean, I guess clucking like a chicken and running around patting our head and rubbing our belly at the same time, or just anything that they think that they could make us do, they would be doing to us. But we've got to push back against this other bill that they're going to try to get done here, maybe between around Thanksgiving time or something like that. The social spending bill, it's the one that's got the tax in it. They can tax the amount of miles that you're driving. It's the one that could potentially tax our cattle as much as $4,500 a head. I mean, that's how stupid they are to think that you can tax something 3 times what it's worth. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. I guess they just think everybody that has a farm or everybody that has cattle is rich or livestock. You know, maybe because they're jealous of the way they're living or what. But you know, it's worse on the dairies. It's really bad on the beef cattle. Now they've kind of prorated that into you know, how much they could totally tax you on the amount of cattle you have due to your emissions there. But now we're hearing that we have some roll aids for cattle, and we see that JBS, of course, your Brazilians are first to fall for it. They're going to start feeding their cattle this supplement or additive that is supposed to cut their emissions way back. So you know, I guess like I said, I guess it's roll aids for cattle there. It just calms that all down. Now I wonder who's behind you know, putting that product out. It's probably somebody on the take that's involved in this and been pushing that through to get the emissions on the cattle stopped. Now I don't know who's going around. How do you actually collect that? Do you put a plastic bag over their ass or over their mouth, and then whenever they do fart or burp, then you capture it? You know, I don't know how you do that. You know, that same way that you get fecal samples and things like that. I don't know how they do it, but you know, I'll sure take the air out where the cattle are running rather than I would in the big cities. But let's talk about your board for last week. December live cattle futures. Monday was down 42. Tuesday was up $1.10. Wednesday up $1.70. Thursday back down $1.02, and then Friday up $1.17. With all the strength shown in the country by your cattle feeders, we had leverage for the first time in a long time, and your live cattle futures for December ended the week at 131.80. February 137.12, so back up there. You know, they had fallen down below the 130 level there last week, and we've got some confidence built back in there, and that's what we needed to do. We need to continue, got to keep this up, got to keep these fat cattle in the 130s for the rest of the year. They deserve to be there. November feeder cattle, Monday was down hard, 217. Wednesday, and that was big because the grains were going up, if you remember, but Tuesday was up 317. Wednesday up $1.60 on your feeder cattle. Thursday down $1.15, and Friday up 85, with November feeder cattle contracts ending the week at 158.87, a healthy premium to what our index levels are trading at right now. So cattle should continue to get higher, but the truck issue is the thing that's holding it back. January feeder cattle ended the week at 159.60. Now corn, your December contract was down. It was up big early and then fell down there late in the week, but at 5.53 was the closing figure, $5.53 a bushel for December corn. That was down 15.25 cents there for the week. Kansas City wheat fell back down late in the week after charging over $8 earlier in the week, ending near $7.80 a bushel, which is still crazy high for hard red winter wheat. Let's talk about your fat cattle trade up through Thursday. You know that everything changed on Friday, but up through Thursday, 36,300 head had sold. We've had some weeks where we haven't had much more trade than that, here in the last few months. Just kind of a dismal, slow trade. Everybody was holding for 130, and the Packers thought that it was going to break them to have to give it. Everything happened after Friday, or on Friday, and we're going to talk about that. But up through Thursday, your live sales on the spread were $1 higher, from 126 to 129 for steers and heifers. Your weighted average on live steers was 128.12. That was up almost $2 compared to the weighted average from the previous week. Your dressed steers and heifers sold from $2 to $2.06 from Monday through Thursday. That was $4 to $6 higher. So we were gaining big ground there. Your weighted average on dressed steers was 202.05. That was up over $2 from the previous week. And then on Friday, guys continued to keep their heels dug in. This is what could happen if we could get negotiated cash trade mandates, guys. This is what could happen every week. I'm not saying the market's going to be higher every week, but you could turn down a bid and get a call back. That's what happened last week. Guys were turning bids down early in the week, and then Packers called back later in the week with more money. That's how it's supposed to work on a negotiation. We've been talking about negotiation or negotiated trade that hasn't involved any negotiation for a long time here about, here's the price we're giving this week. You either take it or leave it, and if you don't take it, we're not going to call you for a couple, 3 weeks. You could sit on them till they get heavy, and then we're going to penalize you for that. But not this past week. Guys turned the bids down, said get back in your car and leave. The Packers were showing up at some farmer feeders that hadn't seen a Packer buyer at their place for years. It's funny how they keep those cell phone numbers and they remember where those lots are at because they show up when they need the cattle. But on Friday, to the victor go the spoils. Iowa, 6,500 head confirmed, and there'll likely be more that they turn in late that will get rounded up here on our next visit. But 6,500 were confirmed Friday afternoon, 18,900 head for the week. But on Friday, live sales from 128 to 132 in Iowa, 202 to 204, which was another couple bucks higher for the bulk of them on a dress basis. Nebraska, 16,300 head confirmed, and there'll probably be more, but that's more cattle than they'd sold earlier in the week. But 29,300 head for the week last week. Live sales 128 to 130, and it was mostly 130, guys. And the dress sales from 202 to 204. I heard some sales. I heard a big long string of cattle in central Missouri bring 130, 150 FOB to go to a major. So it was everywhere, guys. Guys were getting paid for once. But to tell you the truth, the 130 actually started in the Southern Plains. They need the higher grading cattle, but they need cattle everywhere. And Kansas sold 9,800 head confirmed on Friday, 15,900 head for the week, all at 130. Texas, 6,000 on Friday, 10,800 head for the week, all at 130 on Friday. Fantastic, guys. Give yourselves a hand. Good job, good job, good job. Box beef cutout values were higher, sharply higher there last week. It would have been sharply higher. Of course, we've seen such big movements since the last couple of big swans have come by. But for all of last week's trade, your weighted average on all of last week's trade on choice cuts, 288.64. That was up $4.23. Pretty impressive gains as your box beef has found a bottom and is now back on the rise and should be here till we get into December a little ways for holiday purchasing. But that 288.64 was your weighted average last week. But late sales on Friday afternoon were 289.54, so higher than that. So they're gaining again. All of last week's trades on select cuts, weighted average of 266.80 last week. That was up over $4. $4.11 compared to your weighted average from the previous week. And late week sales were indeed almost $1 higher than that. So we're gaining ground there. slaughter had been running at a good clip up until Saturday, and some of your plants just didn't have enough cattle, have as many cattle as they wanted to slaughter. Because they weren't aggressive enough buying them, and that's why we were able to get that. They're going to be aggressive on slaughter again this week. They've got orders to fill, guys. All of a sudden, the coolers aren't so dirty. They don't have to clean them and have these crazy mechanical breakdowns and all that kind of stuff. Nope, they're wanting to run full bore because they've promised product that they've got to fill that order. But last week's slaughter, 650,000. Like I said, it was running a good clip until Saturday when we only had 45,000 instead of 60 or 70 that we would prefer to have. But that 650,000 was 18,000 less than the previous week when we got this thing kicked off, and just 2,000 less than the same week a year ago. What else is going on? Call my friend Steve Hashey at Hashey Insurance. You'll never meet a funner guy, a funnier guy, and a more knowledgeable guy about a whole laundry list of things. But his business is insurance. He and his son John run Hashey Insurance there. Their main deal is crop insurance. They've been doing that for a long, long time. They've got opportunities within life insurance where you can invest that money, and also in ag and livestock insurance. They can insure you against the lack of precipitation, insure you against the market going down with your livestock risk protection, but they do an awful good job. But check out their Facebook page. He's active on social media. Check out Hashey Insurance on his Facebook page there. Steve Hashey, and he's a really good guy and one of my favorite people there. Let's talk about your feeder cattle markets. Real-time index on DV auction ended the week with 152.96 being your RTI based on an 800-pound steer. That was $2.89 lower than the end of last week. You think, gosh, I didn't figure that your yearling feeders, your cash feeders going right into the feedlot, averaging 800 pounds, would be lower. Well, we've got more 700-pound calves that are sneaking into your index all the time. But it's trucks, guys. Trucks are the big problem. We don't have enough of them. And your market was toughest when you got out into the wide open northern plains out there in western South Dakota and places like that. Their runs are starting to ease off a little bit, which could alleviate this within a few weeks, but there's just not enough trucks. And these bull haulers are tired. They've been running like crazy. It's the fall of the year. And, you know, there's just not as many of them out there as there normally is. And it's hurting the market because these order buyers can only buy as many cattle at the sale as they can get trucks to haul off. But this week, the big show is going to be at Cherokee Livestock Sales in Cherokee, Oklahoma. Talked to my buddy Jared Herman there. That's where they're going to be having the regional qualifier for the World Livestock Auctioneer Championship. I'm going to be competing. Once again, going to be the mule at the horse show, but it's going to be a fun time. He's got like 60 loads of yearlings in there, guys, and it's going to be a really big deal. So don't forget that. That's going to be a big time happening there. And you guys are in western Oklahoma. You want to go to that sale. You want to go watch the show, you know, and of course it's going to be first come, first serve on seating in there, but get as many people as they can in there. I think LMA is going to have it on Facebook Live to watch it, but I don't believe they're going to be letting people do internet bidding there. So you need to call your favorite order buyer and get orders in there to buy those yearlings, and I think each auctioneer is going to get to sell a load of yearlings, pretty good jag of calves, and some cows, and he's going to have it real fair there. But looking forward to going there and seeing a lot of good people and other competitors, and you guys keep up with me for this for that contest this week. Cash feeders last week in your sale barns unevenly steady to $3 lower, mostly due to the trucks again. I'm going to give you some quotes on some of the markets that we cover late in the week. How about Fort Scott, Kansas there? Look at these runs of feeders that they had here. Loads and Better had that one bigger string there, but the most impressive to me is right there in the middle, that 59 head of 907-pound yearling feeder steers that bring 160, 185 Saturday in Fort Scott, Kansas. How about Winter, South Dakota? Winter Livestock Auction. Only place you'll find this market information unless they pay for it. Look at this automated market report. You're still seeing the biggest, best test in your calves, but selling pretty good. But 556 head of your 4-weight steer calves average 474 with a weighted average price of 189.60. 646 head of your 5-weight steers average 561 at 176.82. That was about $5 or $6 lower than last week because they'd had a lighter runs of them before. Now the runs are getting bigger and the trucks are a big problem. 657 head of your 6-weight steer calves in Winter, South Dakota average 627 with a weighted average price of 168.59. That was just a little bit easier. On your heifers, the best tested weight was 5 weights. 537 head of your 5-weight heifers average 542 at 149.25 on your average, and then that was $6 to $8 lower there, guys. But another big quote come from back east. Jim Doss runs such a good market there in Richmond, Kentucky. Bluegrass Stockyards, Richmond, Kentucky. Now just think where this is at, guys, and you know there's no feedlots out there. 152 head of 991-pound yearling feeder steers in Richmond, Kentucky, 2 blocks off the square, bring 148.80. Wow. But the best quote that I saw anywhere, and you just have to know the cattle. But market I've never talked about before, Manhattan Commission Company in the Little Apple there, Manhattan, Kansas, Wildcat Country. But my good friend Larry Schrick was a commission man at St. Joe Stockyards for many, many years. And the Knetter cattle, those were professionally assembled by him. Every year he would buy those cattle. They just kind of turn them out there to keep the grass down. No supplemental feeding or anything. I can't describe to you how green these cattle would be, but the compensatory gain would be out of this world. But he's working with Manhattan Commission Company right now. Sale every Friday, and this past Friday, those Knetter cattle come out of Kansas City, rolled in there. They had 2 or 3 jags of them, but the Zach Tran top quote for the day was 64 head. They weighed 783 pounds at 177.25. That's your feeder flash for Monday.